running or camera angle. Hey guys, me again, right here in the backyard working on a wooden window for my little thing that I'm working on. Yeah. So I just recently did this concrete work here, framed it up. It's not looking too bad. But now I'm gonna put this window in here. Yeah, so I'm trying to make my own sort of old-fashioned wooden window, doing a kind of cupboard style just to fit in that same window I showed you just a second ago. So this is completely custom. What I'm doing is I building a frame to go actually on the concrete, and then I'm gonna be doing the rest with the plywood over there. What I'm doing at the moment, putting these brackets in place to make my frame complete. Okay, so now I got all those little brackets in. They don't have too much of a purpose, but still pretty important. The brackets are just to hold them together, so that I could get this on the window being just as it is. Probably have to put a couple more on it. Once I get this mounted onto the concrete itself, with other screws I'm going to be putting on it, I'll probably take the brackets off. Alright, now to start making this window look more like a window. So our measuring tape is telling us that the inside of this frame is 52 and 7/8. So we're gonna leave about probably a eighth out, just to have smooth operation, or maybe a 16th, just so it wouldn't be like rubbing against the, you know. Let me just check it to the bottom and to the other sides. Got all the measurements. Look like we were a little off somewhere in this, because this is right here, 52 and 7/8. The top going, along this way. Get the little arrows, so I can't forget. Always gotta write down your measurements. Okay, and this one is 56 and a quarter. Okay, as it should be. This one is also 52 and 7/8. Wonderful. But then over here we've got, and right here we've got 56 and 5/16. So this side here is off from this side here by 1/16, which I wanted to be perfect, but that's not too far off, so I'll just work with it. Right, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be giving you a better idea of what I'm doing or putting you in more confusion by doing this, but as an example, right, we've got the frame. Like I said, I'm doing it cabinet style, so it's gonna be opening something like a cupboard, like 2 doors. And this is basically the existing frame we have right now, right? Let me get the measurements again real quick. Okay, so you can think of the current frame that we have as something of a box, right? It's just square. So, since this is going to be cupboard style, we're going to have two individual other boxes with plywood on it, right? To make up basically the doors of the cupboard, which is all together going to be the window. Now, since this is going to have, let's see, some hinges here, and some hinges here, it can't be like an exact fit, same measurement on the inside, or else it's going to be really stiff. So we're going to take this number here, 52 and 7/8, and cut that in half. So that'd be like what, 26 inches and the 7/8. We'll work it out. So anyway, going from here, right, a simpler number. We're going to take we're going to be taking a 16th off from each side, so that when it's swinging open and closed, it'll be nice and smooth, no rubbing. So instead of it being 56 and 5/16, we're going to make this piece here 56 and 3/16. Think of this as like a cupboard door. And the same thing on the other side. Yeah, that's basically the roughing of it. And like I said, since it's like a cupboard, right, you have that full height, but the length measurement we're going to be cutting in half because it's shared by the two different doors. So the fun part where we start cutting up some wood. Now was a little trick. The wood isn't really perfect on both sides. You've got this one side that has this little gouge here, this imperfection, and you've got this other side which is like really straight. So what we're gonna do is when we're nailing it down to the frame, we're gonna nail this side up so that this side shows instead of this side. So even though it's not perfect, it'll look perfect. Okay, we've got a mark for 56 and 3/16. I just hit it with the square and the pencil so we could get to cutting. That side's pretty low, so I'm gonna have to put that bottle under it so it could be good with the saw. Just making sure the teeth of the saw might match up really nice with the line. We want just a tiny bit of line to be left, or just to be barely all shaved off. Well, at least that's how I do it, to try to get my perfect cuts. Anyway, here we go. Looking at a 1/16 of a gap in real life compared to on the measuring tape. I mean on the wood, not real life. Anyway, it's kind of bigger than I thought it would look. I guess I'll try 30 seconds of a gap on the next side just as a test to see what we're gonna want to go with in the future. Yeah, having a 32nd of a gap looks way better than a 1/16 of a gap. Though I am noticing like just a tiny bit of this side has more of a gap than this side. So I might have to sand that down a little, right up in here. But the 32nd is the keeper. Looks way better than the 16th. Yeah, doesn't look as elegant. Look, we've got a guest star today. Hey Luna, why are you looking so jumpy? Yep, brave cat, ready. Right, it's looking like our window is going to look really nice. Okay, there's something I forgot to add though. Remember how I said it's 52 and 7/8, and then we gotta half that because it's gonna be two individual doors, cabinet things, whatever you want to call it. You also have to remember that these 1x4s are actually 3.5 inches wide. Remember, we're thinking about now the pieces that's going to be from at the top here between these two pieces. So we're going to half this number, right? The 52, which is going to bring us to 26. And then you've got the 7/8, right? 7/8, 7/8, 7/8. Yeah, the 7/8. So we're gonna have to half that 7/8, which would bring it to, let's see, 14/16, 7/16, right? So it would be 26 and 7/16. But now you gotta remember, you've got these here too. So you have to take the 3.5 times 2 out, which is 7 inches. So it wouldn't actually be 26 and 7/16. It would be 19 and 7/16 inches. Plus we want a little 32nd of a gap on each side. So for smooth hinge work, you know, swinging in and out nice and smooth. So taking a 16th of the 7/16, that would make it 6/16. So we're going for 19 and 6/16. Okay, our window is really starting to come together well, looking good. Although I noticed for these last few couple small pieces that I did, the 19 and 6/16, it's just a little bit snug. Just a wee bit snug. So I'm gonna take another 16th and maybe a 32nd off of each one of the pieces, just so we could loosen up a bit. So when it's swinging in. Okay guys, so I took the 16th of an inch off of each piece, and that made a big difference. It looks a lot better now. The gaps look a lot nicer. Looks like it'll work well now. I might still have to do a little bit of sanding, just so everything will look nice and perfectly perfect with optimal movement. But you know, that's good. That's good. Okay, so I measured the top and both sides along with the bottom and applied those marks to this piece of plywood over here. It's time to make use of that skill saw and get to cutting. Okay, that's one piece of plywood cut. Although it's not going to be sitting on the top like this, it's going to be on the underside. Okay, so I have this here. I am putting the screws in from the opposite side, but just to make it easier so these will stay in place. I got some screws, tapped them part of the way with the hammer, and now I'm about to flip it over to put it in from the other side because that's where they're supposed to be. Then after I have them in on the other side, I'll flip it back over on this side and take these screws out. Alright, so I put the right screws in. Here they are. Made sure to sink them in far enough so when I'm finished with my sanding and I'm doing my puttying, I could putty the holes. It leaves a nice enough space so that putty could get a nice solid amount in there. So after I'm finished on these, you wouldn't be able to see any screws. And on the opposite side, I took the screws out, and as you can see, nice and firm. So one side completed. Ignore my shoe marks. Those won't come out and off. Myself, let me see if I can catch him the skill saw action. Well, folks, I'd say all in all, this went pretty good. Thanks for watching. Yeah, she said ain't nothing happening if you don't have no food in your hand. Lazy. Well, folks, I'd say all in all, this went pretty good. Thanks for watching. Yeah, she said ain't nothing happening if you don't have no food in your hand. Lazy.